This is a Haag-Streit 940 perimeter, and today we're going to switch the front arm assembly off of one and put it on the other one. This one is missing some parts, but it's in good shape. This one has all the parts and it's in alignment, but it's in bad shape. So we're going to take a known good alignment top half and put it on this one. And this top half assembly, top hat we're going to call it, can be removed by taking off these screws. There's 6 large screws here. And what we'll need to do is take this clip off of the back. Going to remove this small screw. Going to leave the larger screw, and that's going to slide back and disengage here. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is remove this back screw. Now behind the screw there's a spacer behind here, so we're going to have to catch that. So a screw and a spacer. And there's a clip. I just came out, but see this clip. There's a screw, and it will slide on this larger screw. We're just going to leave that on there. And around this pivoting ball, you have this brass washer that will move in various directions. We should have a little bit of lubrication on that so it'll move smoothly. I can tell now that it's kind of grabby, but this can stay on. And don't lose your clip. Now that we've got the clip off, we can take off these big screws, and you might need a large screwdriver, and they're going to be on pretty tight, so what you can do is get your crescent wrench or something, and while you're pushing down on it, turn it with your crescent wrench. That'll give you the torque you need to loosen these screws. So we'll take out all 6 of those screws. And remember there's one under here. Once those 6 screws are removed, it should come up. It's got a pin on each side holding it in place, and that pin stays with the top cover, and you'll just want to pull it up with this area right here, wiggle it as you're pulling up, and it removes. Just going to show you underneath it. There's bearings. And the light from down below goes up through the top, and it goes through this lens, and then that travels down the arm all the way down to here. So it's a series of mirrors. There's no bulb down here. It's just a series of mirrors that go all the way up the arm. Through here, and through here, from the light below. And we're going to set this on a flat surface for now. You'll notice in here a lot of lenses, and these are various filters to filter the light that's going to be shining into your perimeter, which are controlled from behind. And there's three sets of, one is your diaphragm is on the bottom. It has different size hole diaphragms. That's going to be on your bottom. And then in the middle and the top you have various filters that will determine the amount of lumens or brightness that shines in your perimeter. So while you have this off, might as well clean these lenses, these filters, so that it will be the brightest it can be, and it'll be perhaps more accurate as it's shining in the bowl. I'm going to get my Windex and cotton swab and just clean those lenses. You can see if it's been on a long time, which these are old instruments, they're probably going to be a little bit cloudy and dusty. So just clean each one. You can hold it still while you're cleaning it. Blow it off with your hurricane blower. Get all those lenses nice and clean now that you have access. And what's happening is when you turn your unit on, you can see the different diaphragms and filters affecting the size of the light and the intensity of the light. The light is shining up through here, going up top, and going through those filters and diaphragms before they travel to the outer arm that shines it onto the bowl. So if you're wanting to get the best light possible, clean those filters and lenses while you've got the top hat off. So once again, just to show you the path of the light, comes from here, from your light housing, goes up through these different diaphragms and filters. It keeps coming up. It comes up through here. It travels by mirrors. There, another mirror goes down here, and another mirror, and it shines through here. There's no bulbs or anything in here. It's all by mirrors from this illumination. So if you're trying to get your 1,000 ASBs, so if you're trying to get your 1,000 ASBs, which is the threshold of determining the original setup, then you're going to want to try to get as much light as you can coming out of here so that your meter can pick it up. So just a little close-up of taking the clip apart. You'll notice that the clip sits on top of this brass ring here. It sits on top, but that brass ring is underneath this post. So if we slide it off, see this brass ring is underneath this post. It has a little ridge here, and it's going to fit right in there when you're putting it back together. Be fitting that in there, and then make sure that the brass washer is fitting inside this post, and then the clip goes on the outer rim. It's going to go on the outer rim. That's how it's going to fit in. After you've cleaned your filters and re-greased the moving parts, it's time to put it back together. Line up the two pins on either end, and hopefully you didn't damage your pins too much while it was out. But just line them up, put your screws back in, and if it doesn't go down, just put pressure on it where your pins are until it falls into place, and then tighten up your 6 screws. And be sure to get them really tight with your screwdriver and your wrench to get them really tight. And then the last thing to put on is the clip in the back, and we're going to have a top view while we're doing that. This is a top view, and you'll notice again we're going to get our brass washer underneath there. So you might want to angle it while you're putting it in, and once it's underneath, we're going to try to put this at an angle so that when we're putting our clip, we can go on top of the brass washer spacer and underneath here. This has to go inside the notch. So I'm going up from an angle from the bottom and it's on top. I'm holding this close I'm holding it with these fingers, and then I've got to slip the spacer underneath this clip. Keep pressure on it. And try to get your screw through the clip and through the spacer. Okay. Our screw's in. It's on top of our little spacer, and there's freedom of movement, and I think we're in. Checking our movement. If we remember, the way to travel from one side to the other is to go right at the highest spot of this circle, right at the corner. Start there and then swing around. Checking our movement. Everything seems to be smooth. And we'll have to put our chart back in, put our pointer at 70 and see if it locks in. It's going to be somewhere around right there. Locked in. That should be at 70. But we don't have a chart in it right now, but I'll put one in to verify that it's still accurate. To check our final movement, we're going to put a chart in here to make sure it can move everywhere. These charts are unavailable now. If you were able to find one and make copies of it, that would be great. It's not quite a standard sheet of paper. It's the length is standard, 28 millimeter or 11, but the width is only about 20.8 millimeters or 8 1/8 inches. So kind of starting from this point right here, this printing 940, that needs to be there, and then it's going to be a straight line. And so those are the dimensions. If you're able to get a copy, but that's the size of the sheet that will fit in this area. So I've made a copy, but I've had to cut it down. I cut it down right underneath this 940 and then cut it to this width to fit in here. So to get your chart in, if you don't know already, these little holders put pressure and release pressure so you can slide your sheet in. Your chart. And the important areas you need to line up are the lines here with the little notch, line here with the notch, and this middle line with this notch. So you have to get all three of those in place. Once you think you have it in place, you can release your tab and examine to make sure everything is in line. and when the pendulum arm is locked in, it's going to be right here on the 70. So we're going to unlock the arm and check movement on this side first. We should be able to go all the way following this line. We should be able to travel this whole distance. So we're going to follow the outer line. And once it can do that, then you know your movement is fine over here. To check our other side, remember you have to go down here. They have some arrows here to show you the path to get from one side to the other. You would put your pointer there and just swing it on over. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to put our pointer there and swing over. Now we're on this quadrant, and we're going to check the movement in this area, starting here. Okay, so we've done our outer perimeter, so we can reach any point in here. So our movement is good. Put it back at 70, our locking spot. We're going to swing around here, get up to 70, lock in place, and the chart's good, the movement is good, and we're ready to perform an examination. This is the all-important light meter that is needed to get accurate data, and you're going to have to set it at 1,000. And these are also unavailable. This one has a missing cover, which we're going to replace. We happen to have one. This is all rare. And one way you can check your light meter before you work on it or install it is to get some kind of light, and we're going to be shining it on the photo cell and pressing the button. What I'm going to do, I'm going to press the button, hold the button in, and shine my light right at that photo cell and see if the light meter's working. So that shows my light meter is working. So you have a jewel here, and so take care of it. But we're going to replace this, and this cover, it has a little, I think this is like a zero adjusting screw. Or on the bottom of it, it's got a little tab, a little pin that fits right into the bottom of this side of the meter. So we're going to be careful that when we install it to make sure that that pin falls right into that hole. And that way we can adjust our zero so that we'll have a more accurate reading. And one other thing notice before we proceed is on this cover, on the back side of the cover, it's got a couple little tabs on this edge. So that's what's going to click down into the top, or this side of the meter. And this side will be held down by just the screws. Now to get these, the screws are positioned so that they're not supposed to turn. So underneath we have these type of nuts, and if you don't have the right kind of tool, which I don't have one that's exactly correct, so I'm going to use this 2mm screwdriver and get on one side of it and turn it counterclockwise to try to loosen that screw. And fortunately, we're able to do it. So you get the idea. Now we've got these nuts off. So we want to be careful about not pulling this scale out. So we maybe want to put some pressure on it, pushing it down while we lift up the outer rim of this cover. Now this one has a little glue from someone trying to make it work. So probably going to be breaking this one. But I do want to be careful about not bending our little needle. That's okay. So they had glue in here. Now when we're putting our new cover on, again, it's those notches. So we might be able to just, as you can see, those notches fit right in there. We've got those in. Now, I'm going to get a cup to hold this up straight. Now, when we're about to put it down, you might want to try to get the pin close to the area that it's about to go in. So it's way over here, so I'm going to make sure my pin is over on this side. I can turn it one way or the other. Alright, we're going to give this one a try. Put the notches in on one side. As I'm going down, I can see how the pin is lining up. It's almost there, but it's got to go down. Okay, I'm finding that I needed to really clean the places where the notches are going to fit. There was some previous glue in there, so I had to clean that. And also I needed to move the needle, the 0. I need to move it that way so that it's past 0 for now, so that I can get the little pin to fit in. And I notice this arm is a little bent down, so I'm using this razor blade temporarily until it gets started to keep it up, to keep it flat while I push the pin down, and then I'll slide the razor blade out. So that might help. I try to line up my pin. Keep the razor blade down while I'm pushing down to try to get the pin to fall into that hole. I think it's lined up, so I'm going to keep pressure down while I slip out the razor blade to see if that was enough. And it looks like it's going in, and it looks like we're on. Now to make sure all the snaps, there's also little snaps on the side. Looks like we're in. Ooh, that wasn't easy. Now I'm just going to make sure my pin is engaging the mechanism below it. I'll know that I've got it in correctly if the needle will move when I turn this 0 adjust. Okay, maybe it is working. I'm going to put the screws back in and verify if it is working. Everything seems to be working correctly. Cover's on. Protected now. We'll install it back on the perimeter and see if the readings are the same. So you'll probably never have to do this. The parts are rare anyway, but if anything, this video is going to remind me how to do it if I ever have to do it again. I reinstalled the meter, hooked it back up, put everything on 70, and zeroed it out. Make sure it was zeroed out with my screwdriver. And when I'm pressing the button, a little low, I can adjust it by this rheostat. Turn it a little bit, check it again. Back it off a little bit. So the meter's working and ready for an examination.